Standard 10, Subject History and Political Science, Chapter 1, Historiography, Development in the West. Dear student, in last video we learned about historiography and its development with historical research method, with tradition of historiography, modern historiography, development of scientific perspective in Europe and historiography. Now we will see about some notable scholars whose contributions are important in the development of historiography. Very first, let us study about Rene Descartes. Rene Descartes was the foremost among the scholars who said in his book Discourse on the Method that never to accept anything for true till all grounds of doubts are excluded. He insisted for critically examination be verifying the reliability of historical documents. Next scholar is Voltaire. Voltaire originally name was Francois Marie Arnault. He gave rise to the thought that understanding all aspects of human life like social, tradition, trade, economic, agriculture, etc. is important for history writing. Thus it is said that Voltaire was the founder of modern historiography. Next, George Wilhelm Friedrich Hegel. Hegel was a German philosopher. He insisted that the historical reality should be presented in a logical manner. The collection of his lectures and articles is published in a book entitled Encyclopedia of Philosophical Sciences. His book Reason in History is well known. According to Hegel, in order to understand the true nature of a thing, one needs to know both true and false. Similarly, good and bad. This method of analysis, which is based on opposites, is known as dialectics. In this method, a theory is proposed at the beginning, which is called thesis. Then another theory is proposed which is contrary on the thesis. It is called antithesis. After a thorough logical discussion of the both, a new thesis is proposed which includes the gist of both. The thesis and the antithesis. This process of arriving at the new thesis is called synthesis. Leopold own rank. Historiography of the 19th century was greatly influenced by the thoughts of Leopold von Ranke of Berlin University. He spoke about the critical method of historical research. According to his collection of his articles, which is published in two books entitled The Theory and Practice of History and The Secret of World History. Karl Marx. In the later half of the 19th century, a new school of thought arose keeping in view the new thesis formulated by Karl Marx. According to Karl Marx, history was not about abstract ideas, it was about living people. According to him, human history is the history of class struggle, as the class that owns the means of production economically exploits the rest of the classes. Thus, Capital, a treatise written by him, is the most referred book all over the world. Annals School. Of the 20th century, a new school of historiography arose in France, which is known as Annals School. Annals School gave a new direction to history writing. It was recognized now that history is not only about the political events of kings, great leaders, and accordingly politics, diplomacy and war, but also about the climate, local people, agriculture, trade, technology, means of communication, social division and their collective psychology, etc. in the historical times. The annal school was started by French historians. Feminist historiography. Feminist historiography means the restructuring of the history from the perspective of women. The writings of Simone de Beauvoir helped in establishing the fundamentals of feminism. She was French. The feminist historiography emphasized not only on the inclusion of women in history but also on the rethinking of the male dominated perspective of history. It drove historical research to focus in depth on various aspects of women's life, such as their employment, their role in trade union institution working for their cause, their family life, etc. Michael Foucault. The French historians of the 20th century, Michael Foucault, brought forth a new concept in historiography. In his book Archaeology of Knowledge, argued that the prevailing practice of arranging historical events in a chronological order is not right, but attempts to explain various transitions in the past. Foucault felt that explaining the transition, that means changes in history, is more important. He called his method the archaeology of knowledge. Thus, the scope of historiography kept continuously expanding. Writing of histories of various subjects like literature, architecture, sculpture, drawing and painting, music, dance, drama, films and televisions, etc. come into practice. Thank you.